Hey guys, Unfair here. Welcome to my third yearly roundup video, where we look at the best games that I've reviewed this year. This means a couple of the games may not have been released in 2014, I just happened to review them this year. Also, before we get started, I just wanted to give a quick thank you to all my subscribers, and especially to my Patreon supporters for making it even better than last year. I'll put a quick discussion of how the channel's doing at the end of the video, but for now, let's get into the games. First up is an exploration game called Secrets of Radicon. This one made my list because I love the way the game subverts your expectations. It looks like a peaceful flying collectible game, but ends up being so much more. And even though there is quite a bit of collecting, the environments were varied enough to keep me engaged the whole way through. For the turn-based category, we actually have a sequel, Costume Quest 2. I love the characters and story, and unlike the original game, this one actually has a good gameplay arc to keep you engaged. In the original, all the levels were nearly identical grindfests, but with this one, each level is better than the last, and the first level is the only truly boring part. So if you play this one, definitely stick it out through the introduction, and it will offer you a much bigger and better adventure than the previous game. Now I play a lot of puzzle-type games, but the Hexcell series really stood out this year. It's like Minesweeper on steroids, matching hexagons not only using the surrounding cells, but also the rows, columns, and special symbols to help figure out if mines are next to each other or not. It's a ton of different elements combined into a very satisfying puzzle experience, and it's definitely worth getting the whole series: Hexcells, Hexcells Plus, and Hexcells Infinite. They all offer a different set of pre-made puzzles, and for a couple dollars each, it's hard to go wrong. Fourth is a category I'm calling narration, because the narration and music are what really make Transistor a great experience. That's really what it is, an experience, because even though the core of the game is storytelling, strategy, and a nice art style, I really couldn't define it by a specific genre. But even though it doesn't feel like any game you've played before, all the unique elements work exceptionally well together. I would highly recommend it. Next up is Dead Man's Draw, a card game. This one is only single player, and obviously depends on the luck of the draw. But the cards all have different unique abilities that allow you to preview, steal, or even reuse cards that you own. These are important because it's a very simple concept. Draw as many cards as you can, but don't go bust, and have the most points in your hand at the end of the round to win. But even as simple as that sounds, there are so many different variations of gameplay that this really doesn't get old, even though it is only single player. Game number 6 is actually a AAA title, which is unusual for my yearly picks, but it's pretty hard to do a great pirate experience on a small budget. A lot of games make ships feel small, but in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, you find yourself swimming alongside massive ships, and climbing aboard to swordfight the sailors. The land part of this may be very similar to other Assassin's Creed games, but if you can get a good deal on this, it's definitely worth it just for the sailing alone. For a casual game, I picked Triple Town, a match 3 game that's probably just as good on your phone or tablet as it is on the PC. And yet that doesn't make it a bad PC game. The concept is simple. Match 3 items to turn them into one more valuable item. When the board is completely full, you lose. If you think that's too simple, you can choose a level with obstacles, less tiles, or bears that move around and block your open squares at random. My pick for Dungeon Crawlers is also a sequel, Legend of Grimrock 2. The first game was pretty decent, but a very dark and tight experience, always underground. This sequel opens up a huge outside world, and you spend much of the game exploring the stunning environment. Even though it is still grid-based, it really doesn't look like it is. The gameplay is very similar to the original, with plenty of puzzle solving and fighting, though they did add some challenging new enemies, with unique abilities like stealing your weapons. It really is an enhanced experience in almost every aspect. Finally, we have a real-time strategy game, Infested Planet. This little squad-based strategy experience can be incredibly challenging even in the campaign, but the random map mode lets you crank up the difficulty even higher if you want to, letting your AI opponent use combinations of abilities that are incredibly hard to counter. There aren't any time limits here. Your only goal is to capture all of the enemy hives. The question is whether you can do that before the extremely competent AI finds a way around your defenses. So that's it for this year's picks. Sorry, this was a bit later than normal. I usually release it right before the Christmas Steam sale, but the list I had at that point didn't feel quite complete to me. I ended up playing over 30 games in the past 2 weeks to find a couple more that would finish off the list. Now to wrap up the video, I just wanted to tell you a bit about how this year went for the channel, and what my goals are for improving the content in 2015. As you may know, we launched 2 new series this year, Low Effort and Let's Talk. I did retitle Low Effort as Fast Game Reviews, just because it seems to get better reception that way. But I still like to call it Low Effort in the intro for each video. I recently added skip annotations to that entire series as well, to make it easier to skip games that you don't find interesting. I'm very happy with how that series is shaping up, even though not as many people watch it. It allows me to feature games that might be too short or shallow for a normal review, but since there are 3 of them, the video doesn't feel incomplete. Now the other new series, Let's Talk, has become a really fun discussion. And I think for 2015 I'll aim for 1 per month, although there may be extra episodes if interesting news topics pop up. I really wouldn't mind doing them more frequently, but there are just so many games to review that there often just isn't time. This graph should give you a good idea of how the channel has been evolving over the past few years, and where I'm hoping to go for 2015. Notice in 2013, the number of games reviewed took a big dive, but they also nearly doubled in length, going from an average of 2 minutes each to 3.5 minutes each. This year, the Should I Buy videos are even a bit longer at about 5 minutes each, and the Low Effort series is now the same length as the original Should I Buy reviews, at about 2 minutes per game on average. I'm pretty happy with this balance, and over the next year my main goal is going to be more videos of the same quality that we've had this year. If you guys have any input, I'd love to hear it. And once again, thanks so much for making 2014 a great year, and let's hope that 2015 is even better. As always, thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.